Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world that never stops moving. It seems like everything is accelerating around us: faster communication, faster work, faster results. The pressure to keep up is overwhelming. But I want to ask you a simple question. Are we truly living, or are we simply rushing? The speed of life has become one of the most pressing challenges we face today. In every corner of the world, we are surrounded by a constant rush, a relentless sense that time is always running out. Technology, communication, and demands from every direction have compressed our time, making every moment feel as though it is slipping through our fingers. We are living in an era where everything seems to be accelerating: the pace of work, the pressure to succeed, the speed at which we consume information, and even how we interact with one another. It's as if the world is pushing us to move faster, to be more productive, and to always be on. In this environment, there's a pervasive sense that we must be constantly moving forward. The concept of waiting or taking things slowly has almost become a luxury reserved only for the few who can afford to slow down. For most people, the clock is ticking, deadlines are looming, obligations pile up, and expectations mount. There is an unspoken belief that the faster we move, the more we achieve and the more successful we will be. But in the process, we lose something far more valuable: the ability to fully experience life. We are so caught up in the rush that we forget to ask ourselves why we are running. What are we truly chasing? Success, wealth, recognition? We have created a culture of speed, but in this race to achieve, we often sacrifice what truly matters: connection, reflection, and self-care. The pressure to keep up with the constant rush leads us to forget the importance of moments of stillness, moments of pause that allow us to appreciate where we are and how far we have come. The speed of life doesn't allow us to savor the beauty of the present. We are constantly focused on the next task, the next goal, the next achievement. And in doing so, we overlook the moments of joy, the lessons learned, and the relationships that require time and attention to grow. Time seems to fly by, and before we know it, days, months, and years have passed in a blur of activity. We forget that life is not meant to be rushed through but experienced fully at its own pace. In this high-speed world, we must also recognize that our minds and bodies are not built to sustain such constant motion. There's a biological and psychological cost to this speed. We may feel productive in the moment, but over time, the toll begins to show: stress, fatigue, burnout, and an overwhelming sense of disconnection from ourselves and those around us. Our lives become a series of tasks to be completed, a checklist to be crossed off, rather than a journey of growth, exploration, and meaning. We find ourselves rushing not only through our work, but through our relationships, our personal growth, and our moments of rest. How many times do we speed through a conversation thinking about the next thing we need to do? How many times do we rush through a meal, a walk, or a quiet moment just because we think we don't have enough time? The pressure to do it all, to be everywhere and meet every expectation, comes at the expense of what truly nurtures us: time to pause, to think, to breathe. The speed of life is not inherently bad, but when it becomes overwhelming, it strips away our ability to live in the present. It leads us to a point where we measure our worth by how fast we can go rather than how well we are living. The more we rush, the less we savor. The more we hurry, the less we appreciate the moments that make life beautiful. Purpose over pace is a fundamental shift in how we approach life. In a world that constantly urges us to go faster, achieve more, and do it all at once, we must ask ourselves, what are we truly striving for? It is easy to get caught up in the frantic pace of life, chasing after external markers of success, promotions, accolades, wealth, and status. The world tells us that the faster we run, the more we will accomplish, but this assumption overlooks a crucial aspect of human existence: purpose. When we prioritize pace over purpose, we end up following a path that may lead us to achievements but not fulfillment. It is possible to achieve great things without ever truly understanding why we are doing them. In the rush to keep moving, we may forget to reflect on our deeper motivations, the core values that drive us, and the meaningful impact we wish to have on the world. Success, in this sense, becomes hollow, a race without direction. We are constantly chasing the next thing, only to find that once we reach it, there is still an emptiness left unfilled. Purpose, on the other hand, provides clarity. It serves as a compass, guiding us through life's complexities and challenges. When we are rooted in purpose, we approach our work, relationships, and personal growth with intention. The journey becomes more significant than the speed at which we move. It doesn't matter how long it takes to reach a goal if that goal is aligned with a deeper calling. The focus shifts from merely crossing things off a checklist to embracing the process of growth, learning, and contribution. Having purpose in our lives gives us the courage to slow down, even when everything around us is urging us to hurry. It allows us to make decisions not based on how quickly we can accomplish them, but on whether they are meaningful to us and whether they align with our values. This focus on purpose means that we are more likely to make thoughtful, intentional choices that lead to genuine fulfillment. We no longer feel the need to rush through life just to keep up with others or meet external expectations. In fact, slowing down to honor our purpose often leads to better results. When we take the time to think critically, reflect deeply, and act with intention, we create outcomes that are more authentic and more aligned with our true desires. This is not about achieving things quickly, it's about achieving things that truly matter. In a world that glorifies speed, purpose is the anchor that keeps us grounded, ensuring that we don't lose ourselves in the pursuit of achievements that are not truly ours. The trap of rushing through life is that it often leads us to prioritize the external over the internal, the tangible results, the accolades, and the milestones without considering the deeper questions of why we do what we do. But when we begin to ask ourselves the question of purpose, we start to reframe our lives. We begin to see that what we do is just as important as how we do it, and that the journey toward our goals is as meaningful as the destination itself. Purpose gives our lives meaning. It connects our actions to something greater than ourselves, something that is not driven by the clock or the expectations of others. It aligns our daily choices with a vision of who we want to be and what we want to contribute to the world. In this sense, purpose becomes the most important motivator, not the frantic pace of our lives. When purpose takes precedence, the need to rush dissipates because we understand that the real value comes not from how quickly we can get from one point to the next, but from the authenticity and intention with which we live. The cost of rushing is often hidden beneath the surface, yet it can be more damaging than we realize. In a society that values speed, productivity, and efficiency, we have come to believe that the faster we go, the more we accomplish. However, this rush comes at a price, one that affects not only our well-being, but also our ability to truly experience life and connect with others. The desire to move quickly, to finish tasks and meet deadlines with urgency, leads us down a path of self-destruction, often without us even realizing it. When we rush, we diminish the quality of everything we do. Tasks that could have been approached with focus, care, and attention to detail are instead completed with haste and a sense of impatience. In this rush, we overlook the nuances, the opportunities for creativity, and the learning experiences that come from slowing down. We start to see everything as a means to an end, reducing the depth of our engagement and turning meaningful endeavors into mere checkboxes on a list. This not only affects the work we produce, but also the relationships we build. Rushing through conversations, meetings, and social interactions often leads to misunderstandings, shallow connections, and missed opportunities for genuine engagement. We lose the ability to truly listen, to be present with others because we are always thinking about the next thing. Rushing also takes a significant toll on our mental and physical health. When we are constantly in a state of urgency, our bodies and minds are in a perpetual state of stress. The effects of this are not just fleeting, they build up over time. Stress becomes chronic, anxiety rises, and burnout looms closer. Our bodies are not designed to maintain such a high level of tension for extended periods. The result is a weakening of both our immune system and our ability to concentrate and think clearly. The more we rush, the less we take care of ourselves, and the more vulnerable we become to physical ailments, emotional exhaustion, and a diminished capacity for resilience. In addition to the toll on our health, rushing prevents us from reflecting on our own lives and the choices we are making. We become so consumed with the next task or deadline that we forget to pause and consider whether we are heading in the right direction. This lack of reflection leads to poor decision-making, as we are often acting out of habit or compulsion rather than thoughtful intention. Rushing to achieve success without understanding what success truly means to us can lead to a hollow existence, where external accomplishments do not bring internal fulfillment. We may achieve everything we thought we wanted, only to realize that we have lost sight of what truly matters. The cost of rushing also manifests in how we relate to time. We begin to see time as a scarce commodity, something to be managed and controlled rather than something to be experienced. Every moment becomes a race against the clock, and as a result, we stop appreciating the present. The more we rush, the less we are able to enjoy the simple pleasures of life, whether it's a quiet walk, a good conversation, or a moment of solitude. We stop living in the moment and begin to live for the future, chasing after something that may never come. Moreover, the cost of rushing is often seen in the erosion of our creativity. Creativity requires time to think, to explore, and to allow ideas to marinate and develop. When we rush, we cut off the very process that nurtures innovation. We expect instant results, but creativity does not work on a timetable. It requires space, time, and freedom to flow. Rushing forces us to operate in a linear, goal-oriented way, but true creativity is born from a more fluid, exploratory approach to life. Rushing also compromises our relationships with others. In our rush to meet deadlines, take on more tasks, and push forward in our careers, we often neglect the people who matter most to us. Relationships require time and effort to nurture. But when we rush through life, we overlook the little moments of connection that make relationships meaningful. We miss opportunities to listen, to share, and to bond. The people around us feel neglected, unimportant, and disconnected from us because we are too focused on what's next. Over time, this takes a toll, leaving us isolated and feeling empty, even when surrounded by others. The cost of rushing is not always immediate, but its effects are long-lasting. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that the faster we move, the more we will accomplish, but what we fail to recognize is that this rapid pace often leads to mistakes, missed opportunities, and the exhaustion of our minds and bodies. Rushing robs us of our ability to live with intention, to make thoughtful decisions, and to connect with the people who matter most. It diminishes the quality of our work, our health, and our relationships, leaving us with a life that, despite being filled with activity, may feel hollow and unfulfilled. Living in the present is perhaps one of the most profound and transformative choices we can make. In a world that is constantly pulling us in multiple directions, the idea of staying rooted in the present moment often feels like an elusive dream. Our minds are conditioned to think about the future, what's coming next, what we need to prepare for, and what we have to do to secure our success. Meanwhile, the past tugs at us, often filled with regrets, missed opportunities, and lessons we feel we should have learned earlier. We become so focused on what has been and what will be that we forget the one thing that is always with us, the now. The present is where life happens, but so often we miss it. We're too busy thinking ahead or dwelling behind to truly experience what's unfolding in front of us. This constant focus on the future or the past robs us of the richness of the moment. We miss the small details, the quiet moments of beauty in the everyday, the laughter of a loved one, the warmth of the sun, the taste of food we're eating, or the sensation of a deep breath. These are the moments that make life meaningful, and yet they often pass unnoticed because we're not fully engaged in them. The mind has an incredible ability to wander, to drift between past memories and future worries. It is easy to be consumed by what happened yesterday or anxious about what might happen tomorrow. However, when we give all of our attention to either the past or the future, we lose the opportunity to live fully in the present. Living in the present doesn't mean ignoring the future or disregarding the lessons of the past. It means recognizing that the present is the only time in which we have real power. The past is gone, and the future is uncertain. The present is all we truly have. When we live in the present, we are more attuned to our emotions, our surroundings, and the people we are with. This mindfulness allows us to respond to life with clarity rather than reacting out of habit or fear. In the present moment, we are able to appreciate the depth of our experiences, to understand ourselves better, and to make decisions that are more aligned with our true desires. We stop rushing through life and instead we savor it. We begin to notice the beauty of what is happening now, rather than constantly trying to escape it by focusing on what's next. Being present also helps us build stronger connections with others. When we are fully present in our interactions, we listen more attentively, speak more thoughtfully, and understand each other more deeply. Relationships thrive when we are genuinely engaged in the moment, when we are not distracted by our own thoughts or concerns. Whether it's a conversation with a friend, a moment with a family member, or even a casual encounter with a stranger, being present creates a space for true connection to occur. When we stop thinking about what we have to do next, we allow ourselves to fully experience and appreciate the people around us. Living in the present also brings a sense of peace and fulfillment that cannot be found by constantly looking ahead. The pursuit of future goals can often lead to a feeling of emptiness if we don't take time to enjoy the journey along the way. We become so fixated on achieving something that we forget to appreciate the process, the growth, and the lessons that each moment offers. The present is where we find joy, not in the destinations we reach, but in the experiences and moments that shape who we are as we move forward. When we embrace the present, we start to let go of the constant pressure we place on ourselves. We realize that it's okay not to have everything figured out right now. We understand that progress is not always linear, and that every step, no matter how small, is part of the process. The present moment is a place of acceptance, a place where we can be gentle with ourselves. It allows us to release the burdens of perfectionism and to find contentment in the now. We stop waiting for the right time to be happy, to start living, or to make a change. We understand that the right time is now. Living in the present also offers us the chance to experience life with greater clarity and intention. When we give ourselves permission to be fully engaged in what's happening right now, we eliminate the noise and distractions that cloud our judgment. Our decisions become more aligned with our true values, and our actions become more deliberate. We are no longer just going through the motions, but actively choosing how we want to live, how we want to live, how we want to feel, and what we want to contribute. When we live in the present, we develop a deeper connection to ourselves. We are more aware of our needs, desires, and emotions, and we are better equipped to respond to them in a healthy and constructive way. The present is where we can take a step back, reflect, and choose how we want to engage with the world. We realize that life is not something to be endured or rushed through, but something to be experienced fully, with all of its highs and lows, its challenges and joys. This mindset of living in the present allows us to release the burden of expectations and instead embrace the flow of life. It helps us to understand that not everything is in our control, and that's okay. We can only control how we respond to the present moment. And in doing so, we create a life that is rich with meaning and purpose. The present is not a waiting room for the future. It is where life happens, and when we allow ourselves to live in it fully, we begin to see the magic in the mundane and the beauty in every passing moment. Quality over quantity is a principle that encourages us to focus on the depth, substance, and true value of our actions, relationships, and experiences rather than simply the volume or number of things we accumulate. In a world that often equates more with better, it's easy to become consumed by the desire for more achievements, more possessions, more connections, more activity. This mindset can lead to an overwhelming sense of busyness and a constant need to prove our worth through external markers of success. Yet, in this pursuit of more, we often overlook the richness and fulfillment that come from choosing quality over quantity. When it comes to our work, quality should always take precedence over how much we can produce. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that success is defined by the number of tasks we complete or how quickly we can move through our to-do lists. However, a life focused solely on doing more often results in half-hearted efforts, shallow outcomes, and a sense of emptiness despite outward appearances of productivity. True success comes from dedicating ourselves to work that we believe in. That challenges us and that leaves a lasting impact. When we invest our time and energy into work that is meaningful and done with excellence, the results are far more fulfilling, both for ourselves and for those we serve. Similarly, in our relationships, quality should always outweigh quantity. In a world that encourages networking, socializing, and expanding our circles, it's easy to believe that the more people we know, the more connections we have, the more fulfilling our social lives will be. But the true richness of relationships lies not in the number of people we interact with, but in the depth of the connections we cultivate. A few close, authentic friendships where we can be our true selves, share our vulnerabilities, and offer support in meaningful ways will always be more valuable than a wide network of acquaintances with whom we have little genuine connection. The time and energy we invest in nurturing these deep bonds create a foundation of trust, understanding, and mutual respect, far surpassing the surface level interactions that come from trying to maintain a large number of relationships. The same principle applies to our personal growth and experiences. In the pursuit of doing more, we often find ourselves spreading ourselves thin, trying to acquire a variety of skills, attend every event, and participate in countless activities. While it's admirable to want to learn and experience as much as possible, we can quickly become overwhelmed and find ourselves skimming the surface of many things without ever delving deeply into any one area. Growth is not measured by how many things we try, but by the depth of understanding we gain in the areas that truly resonate with us. When we dedicate ourselves to mastering a craft, to deepening our knowledge in a particular field, or to honing a specific skill, the rewards are far more satisfying than the fleeting sense of accomplishment that comes from dabbling in many different pursuits. In fact, focusing on quality over quantity brings clarity and purpose to our lives. When we narrow our focus and prioritize what truly matters, we create space for deeper reflection and more meaningful progress. By eliminating the distractions of constantly chasing more, we give ourselves the freedom to immerse ourselves fully in the things that are aligned with our values and long-term goals. This approach allows us to live with intention rather than being carried away by the pressures of constantly needing to achieve more or have more. Moreover, quality over quantity fosters a sense of satisfaction and contentment. When we choose quality, we are no longer driven by comparison or the fear of missing out. Instead, we learn to appreciate the present moment and the things we already have, knowing that they are enough. Whether it's the few meaningful possessions we hold dear, the small but impactful moments we share with others, or the work we put into something that truly matters, choosing quality leads us to a deeper sense of fulfillment. We stop seeking external validation or measuring our success by how much we can accumulate and instead find peace in the knowledge that what we have and what we do has true value. In our modern world, where more often seems to be better, the principle of quality over quantity invites us to slow down and reconsider our priorities. It encourages us to focus on what truly brings us joy, purpose, and meaning rather than simply chasing after the next thing or the next achievement. When we live by this principle, we begin to see that less is often more time to invest in meaningful work, more room for deep connections, and more space for genuine growth and satisfaction. It's in choosing quality that we create lives that are rich, intentional, and deeply fulfilling, rather than lives that are filled with distractions, empty pursuits, and fleeting accomplishments. The power of rest is often underestimated in a society that values productivity, hustle, and constant motion. In a world where success is often measured by how much we do and how fast we can do it, rest is seen as a luxury, a break from the constant striving that seems to define modern life. Yet, rest is not merely a pause or a temporary escape from work, it is a vital force that replenishes our bodies, minds, and spirits. The power of rest lies in its ability to restore balance, foster creativity, enhance well-being, and improve performance in every aspect of our lives. When we are constantly on the go, we deplete our energy reserves. The continuous cycle of work, responsibility, and activity can wear us down, both physically and mentally. We may push ourselves beyond our limits, driven by the desire to accomplish more or to meet the demands of others, but over time, this relentless pace takes a toll. Fatigue sets in, and we begin to feel disconnected from our true selves, as well as from the people around us. This exhaustion can manifest in various ways: irritability, lack of focus, reduced creativity, and even physical ailments like headaches, muscle tension, or weakened immunity. When we ignore the need for rest, we compromise not only our health but also our ability to perform at our best. Rest, however, is not just the absence of activity, it is the restoration of our energy, the recharging of our bodies and minds so that we can approach life with renewed strength and clarity. Rest allows us to step back, reflect, and reconnect with ourselves. In moments of stillness, we find the space to process our thoughts, reevaluate our priorities, and cultivate the inner peace that often eludes us in the rush of daily life. It provides a break from the constant noise and distractions, giving us the opportunity to listen more closely to our intuition, our desires, and our needs. When we rest, we can return to our work, relationships, and passions with a clearer sense of purpose and a deeper connection to what truly matters. One of the most powerful aspects of rest is its ability to enhance creativity and problem solving. When we're constantly engaged in tasks and deadlines, our minds become bogged down by the demands of the present moment. Our capacity for creative thinking and innovative ideas becomes limited because we're not allowing ourselves the space to think freely. Rest, on the other hand, provides a fertile ground for creativity to thrive. When we step away from our work and allow ourselves to relax, our minds begin to wander, and often the best ideas and solutions emerge during these moments of rest. It's in the quiet pauses that we are able to connect seemingly unrelated ideas, see things from a different perspective, and come up with fresh insights. Rest is not a passive activity, it is an active ingredient in the process of growth, innovation, and problem solving. Rest also plays a crucial role in our emotional and mental well being. Constant stress, overwork, and emotional strain can erode our resilience, making it harder to cope with challenges and setbacks. Without adequate rest, we become more vulnerable to anxiety, depression, and burnout. When we take time to rest, we allow ourselves to recharge emotionally, letting go of the tension that accumulates in our bodies and minds. In this state of relaxation, we can process our emotions, let go of negative thought patterns, and regain a sense of calm and balance. Rest allows us to recover from emotional exhaustion, restore our inner peace, and return to the world with greater emotional strength and stability. The power of rest is also deeply intertwined with our relationships. In our fast-paced lives, we often find ourselves rushing through interactions, distracted by our own busyness or preoccupied with what's coming next. This can lead to a lack of presence and connection with others. When we rest, however, we create the space to be fully present with the people in our lives. Rest allows us to show up as our best selves, calm, focused, and emotionally available. Whether it's spending quality time with family, engaging in meaningful conversations with friends, or simply being there for someone in need, rest strengthens our ability to connect deeply with others. The quality of our relationships improves when we take the time to rest and recharge, as we bring more energy, patience, and presence to each interaction. Physical rest is also essential for long-term health and vitality. Sleep, for instance, is one of the most powerful tools we have for restoring our bodies and minds. During sleep, our bodies repair themselves, our brains consolidate memories, and our immune systems are strengthened. Chronic sleep deprivation has been linked to a range of health problems, including increased risk of heart disease, diabetes, and weakened cognitive function. Yet, in our culture of productivity, sleep is often undervalued, and many people sacrifice rest in favor of working longer hours or staying active into the night. By prioritizing sleep and rest, we give our bodies the opportunity to heal, regenerate, and function at their optimal level. Rest also contributes to a sense of well-being by allowing us to connect with the rhythms of nature in our own bodies. We are not machines designed to operate nonstop. We are human beings with natural cycles of energy and rest. Just as the day is followed by night and the seasons shift from spring to winter, we too must honor our own need for rest. By respecting our body's signals for rest and recovery, we align ourselves with the natural flow of life. This alignment fosters a sense of peace, contentment, and balance that cannot be found in the constant rush of activity. The act of comparing ourselves to others has become so ingrained in our daily lives that we often do not realize how deeply it affects us. From the moment we wake up to the time we go to bed, we are bombarded with comparisons, whether through social media, the workplace, or even casual conversations with friends and family. We measure our success, our worth, and even our happiness against the lives of others. But the truth is, comparison is a thief. It steals our peace, our joy, and our sense of self. When we stop comparing, we allow ourselves the freedom to truly experience our own unique journey without the burden of measuring our every move against someone else's. One of the biggest issues with comparison is that it distorts our sense of reality. When we look at others, we often see only the highlights of their lives, their achievements, their successes, their perfect moments. What we fail to see are the struggles, the setbacks, and the hardships that have shaped their path. Social media in particular has made it easier than ever to compare ourselves to others, as we are constantly presented with idealized versions of people's lives. We are shown curated images of success, beauty, and happiness, but these images are not the full picture. They represent only a small fraction of someone's life. And yet we internalize them as if they are the entire story. The result is that we begin to feel inadequate, believing that we are somehow falling short of the standard set by others. This comparison mentality leads us to believe that there is only one way to succeed, to be happy, or to live a fulfilling life. It traps us in a cycle of striving for what others have without considering what we truly want or need. We start to chase after someone else's goals, values, or dreams, forgetting that our path is not theirs. Our journey is uniquely ours, and it should be guided by our own desires, strengths, and passions. By comparing ourselves to others, we lose sight of our individuality and become disconnected from what makes us truly happy and fulfilled. We begin to measure our worth based on external markers of success like wealth, status, or appearance, rather than on the things that truly matter to us. Comparison also breeds a sense of competition and insecurity. When we constantly measure ourselves against others, we can feel as though there is a finite amount of success, happiness, or opportunity in the world. We start to believe that if someone else achieves something we desire, it somehow diminishes our own chances of success. This scarcity mentality leads to envy, jealousy, and even resentment. Instead of celebrating the achievements of others, we see them as threats to our own worth or potential. We forget that there is enough success, abundance, and fulfillment for everyone. Just because someone else achieves something doesn't mean we can't achieve something equally meaningful for ourselves. When we stop comparing, we open ourselves to the possibility of collaboration, mutual support, and shared success rather than competition and division. Furthermore, comparison keeps us trapped in a mindset of dissatisfaction. No matter how much we achieve, it's never enough because we are always measuring ourselves against someone else's version of success. We begin to think that if we could just have what they have, whether it's their career, their lifestyle, or their achievements, then we would finally be happy. But this mindset is flawed as it's rooted in external validation rather than internal fulfillment. True happiness and fulfillment come from within, from understanding and accepting who we are and what we truly desire. When we stop comparing, we begin to appreciate our own journey, our own progress, and the unique contributions we make to the world. In addition to creating dissatisfaction, constant comparison also undermines our self-confidence and self-worth. When we place ourselves next to others and come up short, it can make us question our abilities, our value, and our place in the world. We begin to think that we are not good enough, that we are failing in some way because we are not measuring up to someone else's standard. This leads to a lack of self-acceptance and self-love as we start to focus on what we lack rather than on what we already have. The truth is, we all have our own strengths, talents, and unique qualities that make us valuable, and when we stop comparing ourselves to others, we can start to see ourselves more clearly and appreciate our worth. Another harmful aspect of comparison is that it keeps us focused on outcomes rather than on the process. When we compare ourselves to others, we often focus on their results, their success, their achievements, their end goal without considering the effort, the failures, and the lessons they encountered along the way. Everyone's journey is filled with obstacles and challenges, and success is rarely a straight line. By constantly comparing our outcomes to others, we overlook the importance of the process, the hard work, the growth, and the resilience that shape who we become along the way. When we stop comparing, we can focus more on our own process, finding meaning and satisfaction in the steps we take toward our goals rather than just the destination. Comparison also robs us of our ability to be present. When we are constantly thinking about how we measure up to others, we are not fully engaged in the present moment. We are either looking back at what others have accomplished or projecting into the future, trying to live up to a standard that isn't even our own. This distracts us from the richness of our own lives and the opportunities we have right now. We begin to miss the small, beautiful moments in our own journey because we are too focused on someone else's. When we stop comparing, we can become fully immersed in our own experience, savoring the journey and finding joy in the present. Ultimately, the act of comparing ourselves to others is a form of self-sabotage. It takes away our power, our peace, and our ability to create a life that is truly aligned with who we are. When we stop comparing, we take back control of our own lives. We stop measuring our worth by someone else's standards and begin to define success on our own terms. We embrace our unique path, recognizing that our journey is not about competing with others, but about fulfilling our own potential and finding our own happiness. When we stop comparing, we free ourselves to live authentically, to embrace our individuality, and to celebrate our own progress no matter how big or small. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present and engaged in the current moment without distraction, judgment, or attachment to past or future thoughts. In our fast-paced world, where we are constantly bombarded with information, tasks, and worries, mindfulness offers a profound way to reconnect with ourselves and the world around us. It invites us to step outside the habitual patterns of our minds and experience life with an openness and clarity that is often lost in the hustle and bustle of everyday living. At its core, mindfulness encourages us to become more aware of our thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations. By paying attention to these internal experiences without judgment, we cultivate a deeper understanding of who we are in any given moment. This awareness helps us recognize the automatic reactions and habitual responses we often have to situations, allowing us to choose how we respond rather than simply reacting out of habit. For example, instead of letting anger take over in a frustrating situation, mindfulness gives us the space to pause, reflect, and respond with calmness and clarity. This ability to pause and observe is a key aspect of mindfulness, as it empowers us to make conscious choices rather than being driven by our unconscious habits and impulses. Mindfulness also helps us tune into our bodies, which are often overlooked in the midst of our busy lives. We spend so much time thinking, planning, and worrying that we forget to listen to the messages our bodies are sending us. When we practice mindfulness, we become more attuned to physical sensations such as tension, discomfort, or relaxation, and we can better respond to our body's needs. For instance, we may notice when our shoulders are tense or when we feel fatigued, prompting us to take a break or adjust our posture. By developing this body awareness, we not only improve our physical well-being, but also enhance our ability to stay present and grounded in the moment. The practice of mindfulness can also help us break free from the constant chatter of the mind. Our thoughts tend to jump from one topic to the next, creating a constant mental noise that can be overwhelming and distracting. Mindfulness invites us to observe these thoughts without getting caught up in them, recognizing that they are just passing mental events rather than truths. By cultivating a non-judgmental awareness of our thoughts, we create some space between ourselves and our mental activity, which reduces their power over us. Over time, this practice allows us to become less reactive to our thoughts and more focused on the present moment, reducing stress and increasing mental clarity. One of the most significant benefits of mindfulness is its ability to reduce stress and promote a sense of calm and relaxation. When we are mindful, we are less likely to become overwhelmed by the demands of life. Instead of fixating on everything that needs to be done or worrying about what might happen in the future, we bring our attention back to the here and now. In this present moment, we find that much of the stress and anxiety we experience is self-generated, arising from our tendency to overthink or imagine worst-case scenarios. By grounding ourselves in the present moment, we can let go of unnecessary worry and cultivate a deeper sense of peace and equanimity. Mindfulness also fosters a greater sense of connection with others. In our daily interactions, we often find ourselves distracted or preoccupied with our own thoughts, which can prevent us from truly being present with those around us. When we practice mindfulness, we become more attentive and engaged in our relationships. We listen more deeply without interrupting or thinking about what we're going to say next. This presence allows us to connect with others on a more meaningful level, fostering empathy, understanding, and compassion. By being fully present in our interactions, we show others that we value and appreciate them, creating stronger bonds and more authentic connections. Furthermore, mindfulness can help us cultivate a greater sense of gratitude for our lives. When we are mindful, we are more attuned to the beauty and richness of the present moment, noticing things that we might otherwise overlook. Whether it's the warmth of the sun on our skin, the taste of a delicious meal, or the sound of birds chirping, mindfulness brings our attention to the simple pleasures that make life extraordinary. This heightened awareness helps us develop a greater sense of appreciation for what we have, which in turn leads to increased happiness and contentment. By focusing on the positive aspects of our lives, we can shift our perspective and cultivate a greater sense of gratitude, reducing the tendency to take things for granted. The practice of mindfulness also encourages a deep sense of acceptance and non-judgment. Often we find ourselves criticizing ourselves or others, striving for perfection or trying to control outcomes. This constant striving creates tension and dissatisfaction as we are rarely able to meet the unrealistic standards we set for ourselves. Mindfulness, on the other hand, invites us to accept things as they are without judgment or resistance. It encourages us to embrace life's imperfections and uncertainties, recognizing that we don't need to control everything or have everything figured out in order to be at peace. This acceptance allows us to experience life more fully without the burden of unnecessary expectations or judgments. Through mindfulness, we also learn to become more compassionate toward ourselves and others. When we are mindful, we are more aware of the pain and suffering in the world, and we are better able to respond with kindness and understanding. We also begin to show ourselves greater compassion, recognizing that we are all imperfect beings navigating a complex world. This self-compassion allows us to be more forgiving and patient with ourselves, reducing feelings of guilt, shame, or frustration. It enables us to approach life with a sense of warmth and understanding rather than criticism or self-blame. Finally, mindfulness offers us the opportunity to find deeper meaning and purpose in our lives. When we are fully present, we are able to connect with our inner wisdom and intuition, which guide us toward what is truly important to us. Rather than being swept along by external pressures or the expectations of others, mindfulness allows us to cultivate a sense of clarity and direction. It enables us to make decisions from a place of authenticity and alignment with our values, helping us create a life that is more fulfilling and meaningful. By living mindfully, we become more conscious of the choices we make, ensuring that our actions are in harmony with our true selves and our greater purpose. Mindfulness, therefore, is not just a practice or a technique, but a way of living. It is about being fully engaged in life, in each moment with openness, awareness, and acceptance. As we cultivate mindfulness, we discover the richness of the present moment, and we learn to live with greater clarity, peace, and joy. It is a powerful tool for personal growth, well-being, and connection, offering us the opportunity to live more authentically and meaningfully. Stress is an inevitable part of human life, yet it is something that many of us try to avoid or minimize. It often arises in response to situations that are perceived as threatening, overwhelming, or outside of our control. These can range from external pressures like work deadlines or relationship issues to internal challenges such as self-doubt or fear. While stress is a natural reaction that can sometimes serve as a motivator or a warning signal, it has far-reaching consequences when it becomes chronic or excessive. Understanding the roots of stress can help us address it more effectively and learn how to manage its impact on our lives. At its core, stress arises when there is a perceived imbalance between the demands placed on us and our ability to cope with them. When we are confronted with challenges, our bodies instinctively respond by releasing hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, which prepare us to face the situation at hand. This response, known as the fight or flight mechanism, is an ancient survival instinct that helped our ancestors react to immediate threats such as predators or physical danger. In today's world, however, many of the stressors we encounter are psychological or emotional in nature: work pressure, financial worries, and relationship conflicts, for example. While these stressors are not life-threatening in the same way that a predator is, our bodies still respond in much the same way, preparing us to fight, flee, or freeze in response to the perceived danger. The roots of stress are deeply intertwined with how we interpret and respond to situations. Stress often arises from our thoughts and beliefs about the world around us. For example, if we perceive a challenge as insurmountable or beyond our control, we are more likely to experience stress. The way we interpret an event, whether as an opportunity or a threat, plays a crucial role in determining whether we will feel stressed. Our mindset and perspective influence how we approach the challenges we face. A person with an optimistic outlook may view a difficult situation as a chance to learn or grow, while someone with a more pessimistic perspective may see the same situation as overwhelming or insurmountable. The power of our thoughts and perceptions cannot be overstated when it comes to understanding stress. Another root of stress lies in our physical environment. The demands of modern life, long working hours, busy schedules, noise, and constant connectivity can create an environment that is rife with stress. The more pressure we feel to meet deadlines, satisfy others, or juggle multiple responsibilities, the more we find ourselves overwhelmed. In this environment, it becomes difficult to find time for rest or reflection, and the constant activity takes a toll on our mental and physical health. Our surroundings, whether they are physically crowded or emotionally draining, can intensify the feeling of being under pressure, leaving us with little space to relax or recharge. Society's expectations and pressures also contribute to stress. In many cultures, there is an emphasis on success, achievement, and perfection. This external pressure often manifests in our personal lives as we strive to meet the expectations set by others, whether they are family, friends, colleagues, or society at large. This can lead to feelings of inadequacy, as we may feel that we are not measuring up or that we are falling short of the standards set by others. The constant drive to succeed, outperform others, and achieve more can be exhausting and stressful, especially when we internalize these expectations and begin to believe that our worth is defined by our accomplishments or external validation. Another significant root of stress is the lack of control we feel over our lives. Many of us experience stress when we perceive that we have little power or influence over the outcomes of a situation. This feeling of helplessness can arise in various contexts, whether it is in our jobs, relationships, or health. The uncertainty of not knowing what the future holds, or feeling that we are at the mercy of external forces creates anxiety and stress. The desire to control everything can create immense pressure, especially when we realize that there are many things outside of our control. This sense of powerlessness fuels stress, as we focus on what we cannot change rather than what we can. Self-imposed pressure is another significant root of stress. We often set unrealistically high standards for ourselves, believing that we need to be perfect, accomplish everything on time, and meet the needs of everyone around us. This perfectionist mindset can lead to stress as we strive to meet these unattainable standards, often at the expense of our well-being. Instead of accepting our limitations and embracing the idea that it is okay to make mistakes or fall short sometimes, we push ourselves to do more and be more, which only intensifies the pressure we feel. The fear of failure or the fear of disappointing others can create an overwhelming sense of stress, as we constantly worry about not living up to our own or others' expectations. In the past, and unresolved emotional issues also play a significant role in the roots of stress. Experiences from childhood, past traumas, or unresolved conflicts can create emotional baggage that lingers and affects our current state of mind. These past experiences can manifest as anxiety, fear, anger, or sadness, which contribute to a heightened sense of stress in the present. Unresolved issues can create an underlying sense of tension or unease, making it difficult to feel at peace or fully present in the moment. Additionally, our fear of the future based on past experiences or the uncertainty of what lies ahead can contribute to ongoing stress. In this way, stress is not always about what is happening in the present, but also about the unresolved emotions and memories that continue to shape our thoughts and reactions. Social comparison is another root of stress that has become more prevalent in recent years, particularly with the rise of social media. When we constantly compare ourselves to others, whether it's their accomplishments, lifestyle, or appearance, we often feel inadequate or like we are falling behind. This comparison creates a sense of competition and can lead to feelings of anxiety, self-doubt, and stress. Instead of focusing on our own journey and growth, we become preoccupied with how we measure up to others, which distracts us from our own happiness and fulfillment. Finally, the disconnection from our true selves can be a significant root of stress. In the rush to meet societal expectations, achieve external success, and please others, we often lose touch with our own needs, desires, and values. We become so focused on fulfilling external roles that we forget who we truly are and what we want out of life. This internal conflict between our authentic self and the roles we play can create immense stress as we feel torn between living up to expectations and being true to ourselves. This disconnection from our inner selves is a subtle yet powerful source of stress that can erode our sense of peace and fulfillment. Understanding the roots of stress is crucial to effectively managing and reducing its impact on our lives. It requires us to examine the internal and external factors that contribute to our stress and to adopt a more conscious, mindful approach to how we live and respond to challenges. By addressing the roots of stress, we can begin to break free from its grip and create a life that is more balanced, peaceful, and aligned with our true selves. Embracing the flow of life is about allowing ourselves to move with the natural rhythms of the world rather than resisting or forcing things to happen according to our rigid expectations. Life is full of twists and turns, unexpected changes, and challenges that arise without warning. Yet, too often we try to control or predict every aspect of our lives. We create plans, set goals, and set out to achieve them, but what happens when things don't go as expected? When we meet obstacles, we often feel frustrated or defeated, forgetting that life is a dynamic and ever-changing process, not a fixed destination. To embrace the flow of life is to cultivate flexibility, adaptability, and a willingness to let go of the need for absolute control. At its heart, embracing the flow of life requires an acceptance of uncertainty. We are conditioned to seek certainty, knowing what is going to happen, when it will happen, and how it will unfold, but life by its very nature is unpredictable. The future is unknown, and we cannot control every aspect of the journey. When we resist uncertainty, we create stress, anxiety, and frustration. But when we allow ourselves to release the need to know every detail of the future, we can begin to experience life in a more fluid and open way. We free ourselves from the burden of trying to predict outcomes and instead focus on the present moment where true peace and growth can be found. The flow of life is not just about external events or circumstances, it also relates to our internal state of being. Our thoughts, emotions, and energy are constantly in motion. Just as the tides of the ocean rise and fall, our emotions shift throughout the day. Sometimes we feel joy and other times sadness. There are moments of excitement and times of fear or doubt. To embrace the flow of life is to honor these emotions without judgment, allowing ourselves to experience each moment as it comes. We do not need to suppress or deny our emotions in an effort to maintain control. Instead, we can allow them to flow through us, understanding that they are temporary and part of our human experience. When we try to hold on to one emotion or avoid another, we resist the natural flow, creating inner tension. However, when we embrace the full spectrum of our emotional landscape, we find greater emotional resilience and peace. Our lives are also shaped by the choices we make. The process of embracing the flow involves trusting our instincts and intuition and recognizing when it is time to let go and allow things to unfold naturally. Life often presents us with opportunities, but too often we overthink or second guess ourselves, leading to missed chances. Embracing the flow of life means having the courage to take risks, make decisions without fear of failure, and trust that the universe will guide us to where we need to be. It means letting go of perfectionism and the idea that everything must be done a certain way. It's about recognizing that we are co-creators of our lives, working in partnership with the forces of the world, whether that is our environment, relationships, or even unseen spiritual forces. When we embrace the flow, we stop clinging to the past. The past, with all its memories, regrets, and experiences, is an important part of who we are. However, it is not something we can change. If we hold on to past mistakes or missed opportunities, we prevent ourselves from moving forward. The flow of life is about releasing those attachments and accepting that the past has already happened, and what matters now is how we respond to the present moment. Letting go of the past means freeing ourselves from its grip and allowing space for new experiences, growth, and learning. It's a process of forgiveness of ourselves and others so we can move forward without the heavy burden of regret. Equally important in embracing the flow of life is the practice of patience. In a world that celebrates immediate gratification, waiting for things to unfold can be uncomfortable. We often want things to happen right now. But growth, healing, and transformation take time. Just as nature takes its course, seasons change, plants grow, and rivers carve paths through mountains, our lives also have their own natural rhythm. Embracing this flow means trusting that everything is happening at the right time and in the right way. It means having the patience to allow things to evolve without forcing them into being. Patience does not mean passivity or inaction. It means trusting in the process and taking the right steps at the right time, knowing that things will unfold when the conditions are right. Life also has a way of providing exactly what we need at the right moment, even if we don't fully understand it at the time. Sometimes what seems like an obstacle or a setback is actually an opportunity in disguise, an invitation to grow, learn, and evolve. When we resist the flow, we miss these subtle signs and lessons that life is offering us. But when we embrace the flow, we remain open to the possibility that even challenges are part of the larger picture of our lives. We trust that every experience is leading us to where we are meant to be, even if it doesn't align with our plans or expectations. The ability to see life as a series of interconnected experiences, rather than isolated events, helps us remain grounded and present, no matter what challenges we face. Moreover, embracing the flow of life involves the understanding that change is inevitable. Change is one of the few constants in life. Yet we often resist it, either out of fear or a desire to maintain control over our environment. We may cling to the familiar, trying to prevent change because it feels threatening or uncomfortable. However, resisting change only leads to stagnation and frustration. To embrace the flow is to welcome change, to understand that it is a natural part of the cycle of life. Each change, whether big or small, brings with it the potential for new experiences, new perspectives, and new growth. When we resist change, we miss out on these opportunities. Embracing change means moving forward with an open heart, knowing that each transition is part of our personal evolution. When we learn to embrace the flow of life, we also become more connected to the world around us. We recognize that we are part of something larger than ourselves, a greater tapestry of existence that is constantly evolving and shifting. We understand that just like a river flows through different landscapes, our lives are continuously shaped by our surroundings, relationships, and experiences. By allowing ourselves to flow with life, we become more attuned to the interconnectedness of all things, feeling a sense of unity and harmony with the world around us. Instead of fighting against life's currents, we learn to navigate them with grace and ease, finding peace in the knowledge that we are exactly where we are meant to be at this moment. Embracing the flow of life is about letting go of resistance and surrendering to the natural course of events. It's about trusting that everything that happens, good or bad, is part of a larger unfolding that we may not fully understand, but can learn from and grow through. The flow of life is not something to fear or avoid, but something to embrace with an open heart, knowing that every twist and turn brings us closer to the person we are meant to become. In conclusion, the journey of life is not meant to be rushed, controlled, or overburdened with stress. Instead, it is about embracing the natural flow, understanding that each moment, each experience, and each challenge is an opportunity for growth. When we stop resisting the pace of life and surrender to its rhythms, we allow ourselves to live more fully with greater clarity, peace, and resilience. By aligning with our purpose, staying present, and cultivating mindfulness, we can find the balance we need to thrive. Remember, life is not a race, it's a journey. It's about the quality of each step, not the speed at which we take it. When we embrace life's flow, we begin to unlock its true beauty, realizing that every moment holds the potential for growth, fulfillment, and joy.